Sohee, Suhan, in terms of providing for you, when I tried to get a job at Olive Garden 2018, the same job I had before I signed up for the U.S. Army for 8 years, active and inactive reserves, 2009 to 2017, they wouldn't hire me for even a dishwashing position. My legal team, the Texas Veterans Commission, used this as the ethical basis to sue the Department of Defense on our behalf. Whether it's in China or the USA, it's best we use a legal team to take top-Wiki public. We are not moral warriors, but it's our job to help ensure the association of the terms legit and legal remain strong so that our legal team feels good about their work and their contributions to the development of a more fair and just global society. Almost certainly, the trend will continue into space. It's helpful to think of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin as Lewis and Clark. Until law enforcement and lawyers control space, there will be no women and children third or first. And I'm always wrestling with this idea of family first, women and children first. And then when it comes to deep exploration, it goes monkey first, man second, woman third, and which is basically another way of saying women and children fourth or first. So there's a little bit of a disequilibrium in my mind how to reconcile all that, but I'm working on it actively. And my friend Joe Gonzalez, my best friend Joe Gonzalez, super smart, super kind, super funny. He also was having some emotional issues, and he also served in the U.S. Army in South Korea, and he was there. Him and another one of my best friends were in Olive Garden, and I tried to get a job there. I was like, you know what? I'm going to help my legal team out. If I can get a job, cool. I don't deserve to be medically retired because I can start back at zero from before I went in the Army. So when they wouldn't even hire me for a dishwasher position, I thought, it really, really messed with my emotions. Like, it was a big, gut check. Like, wow, I'm less than zero before I went into the Army in terms of, like, not scaring customers, getting along with my coworkers, and so I helped them make the case that the Army broke me, so the Army got to buy me, own me. They broke it, they own it. They broke me, they own me. So then I was looking at this, and it helps to understand me to understand in 2004, 4 years before 2000, 5 years before 2009, I was at the Grand Canyon, which is a federal land. And when John Kerry came to make a campaign stop there with John Edwards on their Believe in America tour, they asked for volunteers for different things, the Secret Service, when they were securing the El Tovar Hotel in the South Rim. And I volunteered. And they said, you can be a press secretary liaison for a week. I was like, what's that? And so it's where I developed my political humor, basically. So John Kerry would, let's say, go in front of the Grand Canyon and give a speech about the Grand Canyon, and then his press secretary at the time would hand me about 50 pages that were about 1 page each with bullet points to hand to each one of the members of John Kerry's traveling press corps, which is about 50 people. And it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. So I handed each one of the journalists the paper that said John Kerry is trying to say this or that he cares about the environment more than George W. Bush, and no one cares more about the Grand Canyon than he does. And then, so for example, somebody from Britain who was part of the traveling press corps would look at it, laugh, tell me they don't agree with anything on it, and then write an article for a British newspaper that said something like John Kerry tries to shore up, questionable track record on the environment. And then the person from the New York Times would write something like John Kerry stands in front of the Grand Canyon looking old. And then somebody from a newspaper in Alabama would write John Kerry almost falls into a giant hole. Staff tells him it's the Grand Canyon. And so at first it was devastating because like all of them looked at the paper from the press secretary. It's kind of like happy talk, you know, it's like they all thought it was a big joke. But what I learned is that it helped get everybody on the same page. Even though there's freedom of speech and nobody ultimately really cared that much about it, it was one constant, like, because John Kerry really did care about the environment, and he educated himself on, you know, who set aside this land as a national park. Why does it matter? You know, do we need more national parks? Okay, if we do need more national parks, then how are we going to do it? And you know, he thought about that a lot. And I could really go into that. But so that had a huge impact because all the journalists from all around the world kind of gave me this understanding, like, when it comes to political humor, you can be funny, but be very sensitive, you know? So it's like, I really do care about Joe Biden. I really do think he's too old to become president. And I don't think it's healthy. You know, if he's 77, he'll almost be 85 if he did 8 years. And of course, I could be wrong. I could absolutely be wrong. But so even though this is kind of like funny, like, you know, Joe Biden's thinking retirement home other than White House, I really believe that in my heart, that that should probably be the case. And I really believe in my heart that he should probably be playing with his great grandkids, you know, not running for president. And then, so I try to be funny, but I try to be honest. I think it's, even Barack Obama, you know, I'm not going to say I know him personally because I don't, but I follow him. I listen to what he says a lot of times. I pull up YouTube videos, go on his Facebook page, like and comment on his photos, and get my like top fan badge, him and Michelle Obama. And even he is insinuated that Joe Biden is basically like looks old and tired and looks like Joe Exotic, you know, from Tiger King, and really shouldn't be running for president. Like it's just, he doesn't know how to do anything else. And probably his wife Jill's like, hey Joe, like come home, find me. And Joe's just like this warrior, like, you know, that's what he's done his whole life. He doesn't know anything different. He doesn't know how or when to stop. And again, that's my perspective on Joe Biden. I think he's a nice man. I think he's in many ways a brilliant man. And I think he's in many ways more ethical than Donald Trump. And maybe even smarter in some ways. Certainly not in business and how to make money and hold on to it, but in certain other ways that are maybe even more valuable. You know, he's a really great man.